Welcome back to the Eczema Solutions Summit. Today, we are going to be talking about how the gut and liver affect the skin, how emotions play a huge role in our skin health, and how we can heal the skin through holistic medicine. My guest today is Dr. Ameet. He is voted one of the top 43 naturopathic doctors worldwide. He has helped thousands of people around the world heal from trauma, anxiety, depression, and chronic disease by combining holistic medicine, psychotherapy, homeopathy, and emotional healing. He helps people find relief from burnout, anxiety, depression, chronic disease, and trauma by healing the mind and the body together. To check out his free holistic medicine course and books, please visit his website, drameet.com. That is DRAMEET.com. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Nora. I'm super excited in helping people really get to the root cause. Absolutely. And healing the gut and the liver, which is often ignored. We're going to talk about some homeopathy, maybe some family constellation therapy and healing emotions, depending on what time. So yeah, stay tuned, and I'll have a free gift at the end of the talk as well.
Perfect. So how do you think the gut affects our overall health?
Great question. So the gut is like a nice tube with a nice lining, right? Kept healthy by good bacteria and good food. And over time, with antibiotic use, a poor diet, inflammatory foods such as too much gluten, dairy, alcohol, etc., the good bacteria get killed off and the lining gets damaged, right? And when the lining is damaged, we get holes in there. And when we get these holes, then toxins leak into our body, into our bloodstream. And that causes chronic inflammation everywhere else in the body. And that's the leading cause for asthma, eczema, arthritis, a lot of chronic diseases. Also, the bacteria in our gut, they produce serotonin, GABA, and certain vitamins as well, right? So they help nourish us and affect our mood and our brain. And so when we destroy these good bacteria, what we call the microbiome, when we cause damage to it, either with the inflammatory foods, excessive medications, pesticides, chemicals, etc., the microbiome becomes unhealthy, and therefore the chemicals that the bacteria produce, the neurotransmitters, also go out of balance, right? So everything suffers. And then chronic inflammation also affects our thyroid hormones. And as we know, your thyroid hormone is super important for the function of every single cell in your body, right? And so when your thyroid hormones start dipping, not only because of poor thyroid function, but because of poor conversion due to too much inflammation and poor gut health, then all your organs start to suffer. And you get low immunity, PMS symptoms, hormonal imbalances, thinning of hair, low energy, fatigue, insomnia, anxiety, and depression as well. And we'll talk about emotional trauma and homeopathy as well for emotions, and healing anxiety and depression, and also how that affects your skin health shortly.
Wow, thank you. Do you think our modern world has made us more susceptible to eczema, allergies, asthma? You know, we're seeing such a rise in children with these conditions. What's going on?
Absolutely. So in the modern world, number one, we have a lot of pesticides, a lot of chemicals, a lot of toxins in the water, in the foods we're eating, and all these will damage your gut lining. And also what happens is they overburden your liver, and your liver is a master detoxifier. So our livers are overburdened. So when your liver is overburdened, it produces less bile and it detoxifies less. And if you have less bile flowing, you have poor digestion. So more gas, bloating, constipation, and a worsening of leaky gut, the damaged intestine. And all that will cause more inflammation, of course, and worsen of skin health. Also, when the liver is toxic and overburdened, you're detoxifying less. If you have more toxins floating around in your bloodstream, you're going to have more inflammatory conditions, including a worsening of your eczema and other chronic diseases. Modern life also has more stress, I believe. More financial issues, divorce rates, just the pressure of life. This stress stimulates our fight or flight response, our adrenal response, right? We have to survive. So a lot of people are under chronic stress. Chronic stress basically throws off our cortisol levels, this hormone in the body. And when our cortisol levels go out of balance, right, all our brain chemicals start to suffer. Serotonin, dopamine, melatonin, GABA all start dropping. And conversion of thyroid hormones from T4 to T3 also suffers with imbalanced cortisol levels, right? And when your thyroid conversion is compromised, of course, all the organs in your body will suffer, including your gut health. So we'll have a worsening of leaky gut. And that's why chronic stress can exacerbate inflammatory conditions such as asthma, eczema, and arthritis.
Wow, excellent. That's very good. So in your online course, you talk about how the mind affects the body. Can you share more on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I just said, when somebody is, let's say we're traumatized, a lot of people have gone through trauma, whether it's childhood abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, abandonment, relationship breakups, etc. Those traumas, of course, get lodged in our nervous system, and they cause a fight or flight response in our body. And that in itself creates cortisol imbalances, aches and pains, muscle tension, and chronic disease. The other thing is that when these traumas are unhealed, they're stuck in our nervous system. So as an adult, when you're faced with some stress or some other trauma, like a relationship breakup or an angry boss, these childhood memories are stimulated, they're activated, these childhood traumas, right? So your angry boss could represent an abusive father, to your memory, to your limbic system. Or a relationship breakup could basically activate abandonment from your mom, or feeling isolated from your family and not wanted, right? So we get triggered into these emotional responses. So we go into a heightened fight, flight, or freeze response in our nervous system. And that exhausts the nervous system, right? The trauma from childhood, as well as unhealed trauma that is reactivated by modern day life stresses, right? So the mind then stimulates the adrenal response, the fight or flight response. Also, what happens is it stresses the vagus nerve, this big, beautiful nerve that basically controls the function of our gut, our liver, our heart, our breathing. So now the vagus nerve is out of balance. So the organs connected with the vagus nerve also will malfunction. So you'll have poor digestion, more gas, bloating, poor liver detoxification, poor breathing as well. And when that happens, of course, when the gut is not functioning well, because the vagus nerve is also affecting the gut, then you get more leaky gut and therefore more chronic inflammation, leading to more chronic disease. So it's very important to also heal childhood trauma and calm the mind down if you want chronic disease to also heal.
Could you explain how you do that? How do you do that with people?
So my online course covers a lot of homeopathic remedies I use to heal anxiety, depression, and trauma.
Okay.
Right? There's remedies like Ignatia, Natrum muriaticum, which are great for breakups or betrayals, relationship issues, abandonment from mom, from dad, etc. I use rescue remedy or Bach flower remedies. I also use a lot of psychotherapy, whether it's EMDR, Gestalt therapy, somatic experiencing, or family constellations therapy. I'll often use family constellations therapy to heal ancestral trauma. Because we carry this trauma from our ancestors. Our grandparents experienced certain wounds, emotional wounds, or maybe mom was abused by dad and we're rescuing mom. We protect mom and reject dad, for example. That is an entanglement. That's a trauma from childhood. And family constellations therapy helps with certain healing sentences. I use healing sentences for people to come out of that trauma, to release the entanglement and the preoccupation we have with mom and dad's conflict that doesn't really belong to us as innocent children. We take it on for the mother or for the father. And that exhausts our nervous system as well and creates chronic disease. So I combine emotional, so the online course will give you the homeopathic remedies for some of the traumas, as well as some emotional healing exercises you can do from childhood up till present. And then, of course, in personal sessions, I'll do a lot of deeper work with emotional counseling and family constellation therapy.
Okay. So do you think that as a society, we tend to have a label when it comes to chronic disease, and all we want to do is just manage it and manage the symptom, and maybe we don't even think that we can ever heal from chronic disease, right? Do you think that can be true?
Yeah, so the labels lead to medications and sometimes over medications, and the labels avoid identifying what the root cause is, right? So, for example, eczema, yes, it's helpful because you know what it is, but the label of eczema doesn't tell the person, hey, you've got chronic inflammation, a food sensitivity, and maybe liver toxicity, right? The label doesn't help the person identify the trauma that's creating this disease. So labels are useful in one medical system, and sometimes we need labels, of course, to get the right medication to manage the symptoms while we're going for the root cause. Right? But what I love about ancient traditional medicines, for example, traditional Chinese medicine, will call the disease based on some of the root causes. So eczema might be excessive heat in the liver. So that gives you an indication like what organ system is really affected here, and what do we need to do? We need to cool down the system. We need to detoxify the liver.
Yes.
So ancient systems have more of an accurate description in some cases, right?
Yeah.
Aggravation of the heart for, emotional issues like anxiety, too much heat in the heart, yeah, or a breakdown of the pericardium, which is the heart protector, yeah, as a paranoia and anxiety. So labels are useful in some cases, but they're also limiting because they lead to sometimes over medication rather than going for the root cause. Depends on the practitioner. Yeah. I like labels as well as a naturopath because they help me identify, okay, exactly what's going on. Then I use my naturopathic knowledge to then go for the root cause. Yeah. So it's not too bad to have a label, but don't get stuck on the label. Yeah. Use the label as a doorway into the journey for the root cause.
Right. There is a new medication for eczema called Dupixent. It's a biologic drug. And I believe it's a new era of addressing eczema, from moving on from topical steroids. What do you think the consequences could be from injecting a biologic drug and suppressing the immune system that way? Do you think the consequences could be negative?
So I'm not familiar with the drugs. I'm not familiar with this mechanism of action, but alarm bells go off when I hear about suppressing the immune system.
Yes.
Because eczema in most cases is an inflammatory response, right? And your immune system is activated based on food sensitivities,
yeah,
and other triggers. So eczema is biologically purposeful for your body because it's dealing with something.
Yes.
And so I don't like suppressing symptoms. I like them to show up so that I can treat the root cause. Sometimes people need medications because a lot of diseases can be life-threatening and really ruin a person's quality of life, right? And I have people on antidepressants and other medications, and I don't try and take them off them all the time because their happiness is so obvious, their drug addictions disappear, yes, when they're on medications. So it's a fine balance. But the suppression of symptoms then doesn't allow us to see if treating the root cause is really helping or not in some cases. And the thing is, when we suppress symptoms in one part of the body, like the skin, it might go deeper, right, and manifest as asthma or something else, or depression later on. So it's really a fine balance in educating yourself, saying, okay, you know what, maybe this is important to improve my quality of life. At the same time, let's see what emotional traumas have I been to. What does eczema in the elbows or the knees or something signify? When did it start? What was going on for me emotionally at that time? What beliefs did I have that need to be healed or that I can heal right now? Yeah, that were causing the disease to manifest in the first place. Because if you don't heal those negative beliefs and the trauma, they manifest differently in different ways, even though you manage your skin symptoms.
Okay. Yes. So is inflammation, is it caused by poor gut health, or are there other organ systems involved? What really causes chronic inflammation?
So in my online course, I cover all the causes. Yeah, most of the causes, I should say. One of the main things is, of course, inflammatory foods and a poor diet. So if there's too much sugar, too much alcohol, and if you're sensitive to gluten or dairy, too much of that, too much beef, for example, for some people, yeah, or the nightshade families, these can trigger inflammation. Pesticides and excessive antibiotic use and a poor diet as well, they damage the good bacteria that protect the gut lining. So if you've got a lot of toxic damage to your gut microbiome, then you're going to be more prone to inflammation. Most people forget about how to treat the liver. So the liver is toxic from pesticides, from environmental toxins, from chronic inflammation. And most people's liver are stagnant or exhausted. And so poor liver health is a major cause for chronic inflammation, which most people don't realize. They're always focusing only on the gut and removing gluten and dairy, right? So the online course covers specific remedies, herbs and supplements, as well as homeopathic remedies as well for liver detox. And it's important to use homeopathy in some cases for liver detox, because homeopathy helps the liver detox even deeper than just regular herbs and supplements in some cases.
Yeah.
So those are some of the causes. And then, of course, if you're stressed and burnt out, then your cortisol levels are out of balance. And when cortisol is out of balance and you have poor thyroid function, like I explained before, then the gut lining is weaker, right? Because remember, thyroid hormones affect all your cells. So if you're low in thyroid hormone, your gut cells are going to be weaker. So you'll have more permeable membrane, so more leaky gut. And therefore, more toxins will leak into the bloodstream and cause more inflammation. So stress and emotions can also exacerbate inflammation. And that's what I cover in the course, how to heal the gut, the liver, and emotional healing exercise to minimize, yeah,
Right. Okay.
the insults on the body.
Okay. So what are some top ways that we can have better gut health, for example?
One is to, of course, avoid inflammatory foods. And those are typically gluten and dairy for most people, too much alcohol, sugar. Some people are sensitive to beef or the nightshade family, which is like tomatoes and zucchini and things like that. And then, of course, using the gut healing protocols I use in the course, which includes things like, probiotics or vitamin D and certain amino acids, which I cover as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, liver detox is important, super important, often forgotten about. Bitter foods are excellent for bile flow, right?
Can you give us some examples?
Like dandelion root or rocket arugula, bitter gourd as well. Lots of green vegetables that bind the toxins, act as fiber. Turmeric is an excellent spice to add to foods, which stimulates bile flow as well, and it's an antioxidant for good liver health. Then you're looking at cruciferous vegetables as well, right? Your Brussels sprouts, your cabbages, your cauliflower, your broccoli. Those have sulforaphanes, which also stimulate phase 2 liver detox. Yeah, the liver detoxifies in a few phases, and the sulfur is important for one phase of liver detox. And then, your antioxidants, because the liver is inundated with toxic oxidative damage from all the toxins. So we want the antioxidants, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, your berries, organic berries if possible. So these are some of the ways I cover. And then, of course, I go into specific herbs in the course as well that are stronger for liver detox. And homeopathic remedies are important as well. I use homeopathics like lycopodium or nux vomica, depending on the symptoms the person has. If they have a lot of bloating and gas, that's one homeopathic remedy. If they have a lot of constipation, and depending on the kind of constipation, then that's a different homeopathic remedy. Yeah. So looking at your unique symptoms is important to decide what's the best remedy for you, because then you take your healing to a deeper level because you're individualizing it a bit more.
Okay. And do you do this with all ages? Would this apply to all ages, or is it different?
Depends on the medical condition of the person, depends on, of course, how vulnerable the system is. This works for most ages. Of course, certain infants, you cannot give the same herbs. Yeah,
Right.
it's not healthy for them.
No.
So you got to be careful. And that's why you need a practitioner as well, in conjunction with all the reading and courses you're taking.
Okay. And in excuse me, in your online course, you discuss multiple remedies for the liver.
Yeah.
Can you share how you do that?
Okay, so I've covered some of them already, some of the foods and supplements. Some of the herbs I talk about include milk thistle and dandelion as well. The homeopathic remedies, I don't want to give everything away. It's all in the course, the
Yeah.
specific remedies for the liver and
Absolutely.
the different symptoms they're used for. And then I also cover certain supplements like inositol, choline, which help thin the bile or improve bile flow as well.
Yes. Okay.
So there's extensive information there. But you're thinking about, the foods I mentioned, those are important.
Yeah.
Looking at supplements like inositol, choline, the bitter foods. Then magnesium is excellent. The B vitamins are excellent also for liver health as well.
Okay.
And of course, the homeopathic remedies as well, like I mentioned.
So it sounds like the liver is extremely important and very connected to the gut.
Always, yeah. It's the most forgotten organ in a lot of even holistic circles, because remember, the liver produces bile. Bile lubricates the stool. So most people with constipation have a poor bile flow issue rather than a laxative deficiency. A lot of people are making a mistake of only taking laxatives rather than improving bile flow. The bile salts also help remove some toxins from the gut and kill off certain bacteria. The bile also helps create a healthy microbiome, so your good bacteria thrive more, right? And the bile also improves digestion, so you're breaking down the food so they damage the gut lining less, right? And of course, the liver is important for hormonal balance, vitamin storage, blood sugar regulation, detoxification.
Wow.
So it's super important for every single function in your body. The liver also basically converts 70%, almost 70% of inactive thyroid hormone to active thyroid hormone. So if your liver is not working well, your thyroid hormone is not going to work well, and therefore every single organ in your body will be compromised. So liver is super important for gut health and overall health.
Yes. What are some things that people can do just day to day to support the liver?
Eating healthy foods, like I talked about, removing inflammation is key. So, of course, healing the gut with the protocol, removing the inflammatory foods, and detoxifying the liver, that's super important.
Okay.
Drinking lots of water for detoxification, increasing your fiber intake. Deep breathing is super important. Deep breathing, one, releases stress. Deep breathing, number two, helps your diaphragm massage your liver, right? So you need that physical, mechanical massage on your liver to improve detoxification.
Yes.
So deep breathing can also help improve the lymphatic flow of your liver to improve detoxification, right?
Okay.
And exercise, of course, improves your breathing and lymphatic flow, and that can help with liver detox as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Ameet. This has been so valuable. Thank you.
A pleasure, Noura. And of course, emotional healing is important as well. So,
Yes.
I'm always releasing my own emotions and scanning the tension in our body to see which emotions are connected to that. Because emotions, stressful emotions and trauma create a tightening in the nervous system and affects the vagus nerve, which affects your liver as well. So daily routine really is to do emotional healing exercises and work on childhood issues as well. So your body feels more relaxed, your mind relaxes, your nervous system lets go a bit. And that will improve also bile flow and digestion.
And so you think even mothers are passing that on to their children, the emotions and all of that, that this is
Absolutely.
incredible.
Yeah.
Think
So it's
about.
it's important to work on your emotions for your own health and for your children's health as well.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Ameet.
Lots of love. Thank you as well, Noura. Everyone listening, there's free videos and a free ebook on my website, which is drameet.com. It'll walk you through healing the liver, the gut, emotional healing exercise as well, and supporting your adrenal glands. So I wish you luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.